Manor ISD is looking for a solution after several years of low ratings at one of its middle schools. Who it's hoping to bring on board.
And an Arctic cold front is getting ever closer to Central Texas. How the state is preparing for this dangerously cold weather.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
We begin this morning in downtown Austin. It's tough to see out of our Austonian camera. We're starting to see some of that moisture on the lens there and those low-lying clouds. Temperatures may be not too bad as you're stepping out the door, but we are watching those and expecting those to plummet as that cold front arrives.
We want to give you all an update about where that front is exactly. So meteorologist Freddie Bella has that update for us. Let's talk about that.
We have the front almost here, already moving through North Texas and now closer to Central Texas. Here's a look at where it's at this point. 55 degrees in Waco, Dallas 50, already a 5-degree difference there. San Angelo 45, Abilene 25. So there is the change there. Shreveport already dropping down to 48. Well, Austin's at 57. I'm only giving us up to about 62, and that's pushing it because I expect that front to now arrive sometime around 4 p.m. Here's a look at your 24-hour change. Amarillo down 41 degrees over the past 24 hours. That is a massive drop from what we just saw recently. Lubbock at 28, Abilene down 31 degrees, and while Austin is up 4 degrees, that's not going to last very long. If you tune in later tonight, I'm pretty sure we'll see a massive change there as well. A cold weather advisory in effect for tonight going through noon on Wednesday because of the wind chills out there. And we're actually starting to see a few showers pick up in certain spots. Round Rock to Georgetown, Austin, Bastrop, Dripping Springs, and a few more showers are going to start popping up over the next hour or two. Here's a live look out of our covert Bee Cave Auto Mall camera. And you can see it's starting to get a bit harder to see out there. Roads becoming a bit more slick, but remember, we need this rainfall to evaporate before we get to the overnight hours because some of that could actually freeze. Coming up, we'll be talking about the front on the way, the massive temperature drop, and we have more watches and warnings. I'll discuss all of this and so much more in your first warning weather.
Freddie, thank you. As we brace for this cold, state leaders say Texas is ready. The Texas Division of Emergency Management and Governor Greg Abbott say they're confident, even as some parts of the state could see potential flooding along with below freezing temperatures.
The bottom line is that the power grid, because of the almost 20 laws that I've signed, has never been more prepared for a winter storm like this.
Crews have also been treating roads in those high-risk areas. The city of Austin is keeping its cold weather shelters open tonight through Thursday. You can register for shelter space starting tonight at 6 o'clock at the One Texas Center, which is off Barton Springs Road. From there, the city will bus people to those shelters. After 8 o'clock, which is when registration technically ends, there will still be buses available to take people to a shelter if they need it. Right now on KXAN.com, we have more rules about what you can and can't bring to those city shelters. Today, the Manor Independent School District will consider a partnership with a charter school to help Manor Middle School.
The district there says it received 3 unacceptable ratings from the Texas Education Agency. KXAN's Barrett Tryon explains what that could mean for the district.
TEA accountability ratings evaluate performance of schools in various factors. That includes students' test scores. In the board's agenda, it says it expects to receive a 4th unacceptable rating when 2024 results come out. Now that's prompting the district to consider a charter partner to get it back on track. It will vote today on whether to go with Third Future Schools. Now, you might remember that's the same charter program that was used with Mendez Middle School in Austin ISD. That school came in with an F rating 3 years ago and is now expected to have a B rating. Now, last year's ratings have not been released yet. That's all because of a lawsuit. Those ratings are based on how students do on a statewide standardized test. Legislatures have required the TEA to redesign that test so it could be done almost entirely online. And it also changed benchmarks that schools must reach for those ratings. But districts across the state are arguing about the validity of those results because of a new grading tool. It is now asking for a third party to review those results. Now, as far as Manor ISD is concerned, the charter, if approved, would begin next school year for Manor Middle. The district has a goal of 90% of its students to graduate by 2028. Barrett Tryon, KXAN News.
Barrett, thank you. Some parents are worried a law that helps students with disabilities could be dismantled because of a lawsuit filed by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton.
Paxton filed that lawsuit in September with 16 other attorneys general over the Biden administration's decision last year to add gender dysphoria to the list of recognized disabilities. That suit also calls into question the constitutionality of the 50-year-old Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act and the Americans with Disabilities Act. It's something many students rely on to get a little extra help during school.
He's above grade level. He's making great relationships with his peers. He's adored on campus. He is thriving because of the supports that he has. I can't imagine where he would be without them.
The federal holiday yesterday made it tough for us to reach state and federal officials, but we will keep following this lawsuit to see what all happens next. For some insight, the Attorney General in Utah said although his state also joined in this lawsuit to challenge the Biden administration's regulation, he is committed to protecting Section 504 accommodations for children.
For some more insight, gender-affirming care is a treatment rarely given to minors, according to research conducted by Harvard University. The university surveyed 5 million patients ages 8 to 17. This is from the time period 2018 to 2022, finding less than 18,000 of those patients have a gender-related diagnosis. Of those diagnosed, a little more than 900 were prescribed puberty blockers, while 1,900 were given access to gender-affirming hormones.
Today, the Texas Senate Business Commerce Committee is meeting at the Capitol to discuss several bills that could impact businesses here in the state. That includes an effort to establish the Texas Strategic Bitcoin Reserve for the purpose of investing in cryptocurrency, regulations for private passenger vehicle rental companies, a bill to define telephone calls in order to regulate telemarketers, new licensing and regulation for dietitians, and an effort to offer immunity for ringside physicians assigned to combative sports. State lawmakers could also ban cell phones in the classroom. A bill from State Representative and a Republican Ellen Troxclair would prohibit students from using electronic devices during the school day. However, it would require schools to have a phone somewhere so that children can talk to their parents if the need should arise. That idea has gained support. Last year, the head of the Texas Education Agency told a Senate panel to consider a plan like this.
At least from my perspective, cell phones are extremely harmful for student learning. If it were in my power, I would have already banned them in all schools in the state.
According to the online political nonprofit Ballotpedia, as of January, 7 states now have policies or laws banning or limiting cell phone use in classrooms.
Investigators are now working to find out what caused a frightening landing in Toronto on Monday. A Delta Airlines plane hit the runway and then flipped over. Thankfully, everyone on board survived. NBC's Stephanie Gosk has the latest.
The fuselage of that plane is still here on the tarmac of the Toronto airport. There are 2 runways that remain shut down, although air traffic has started again here. It is likely to be a chaotic day. We are seeing new video of the moment of impact. It shows the Delta jet that originated in Minnesota smashing into the tarmac, bursting into flames, and then flipping over. What we now know from passenger accounts is that passengers were seatbelted upside down and had to escape the plane even while the flames weren't put out yet. The investigation is now starting. They will focus on those black boxes, also looking at that video very closely to try to determine how all of this happened. It's being handled and led by the Transportation Board of Safety in Canada with the help of the NTSB. One of the things that they will look at very closely is the weather and the wind. Could it have played an impact? Right now, they say it's too soon to tell. Back to you.
Welcome back, everyone. We're taking a look outside where you can see those clouds are in full view there of that camera in Bee Cave. We know Freddie is tracking this cold front that is going to rock our state very soon. It's already hitting parts of Texas. We'll tell you when it's coming to Central Texas and how you can best prepare in just a few minutes. First, the state of Texas is turning to innovators to keep up with the growing need for water. KXAN's Eric Henriksen went to Manor for an in-depth look at a solution.
What looks like a normal cup of water didn't come from a pipe or a well, but from the air itself.
This is where the air filters are. It'll pass through the evaporator.
Eric Shang and his brother Brian are the co-founders of Aquaria.
Our family is from an area in China called the Land of 1,000 Springs, right? It's actually very much like Texas.
With water on the mind, they developed the HydroPack system.
There's 39 million billion gallons of water in the atmosphere around us. And so our machine is actually sucking in air first, and then we're lowering the atmospheric air into its dew point and then capturing that water.
The water goes through 6 layers of filtration before it reaches the tap. 1 layer of air filtration, followed by 5 layers of water filtration.
This, as the smallest size, is about 70 gallons a day.
This unit, which requires electricity, costs about 10 grand. Pulling water from the air isn't a novel concept. Scientists like Weiwa Yu from the University of Texas have explored using polymer-like gels.
This actually is very easily accessible and extremely scalable and extremely also low-cost material to start with.
While hydrogels don't require power, they are smaller than the HydroPack machines. However,
fairly cold this morning, so we're not really going to be making water when the dew point is below freezing.
And in drier regions, they can't produce as much water. Currently, the device has been sold in several states, mostly along the Gulf, with less than a dozen operating in Texas. Aquaria expects their commercial model to ship within the next 2 months. In Manor, Texas, Eric Henriksen, KXAN News.
Now, Governor Greg Abbott has made improving water stability one of his top goals this legislative session, and the governor wants to expand what's known as the Texas Water Fund. Utilities and communities can use that money to improve their water infrastructure.
Taking a closer look now, a company from Austin is working on its own effort to deal with water supply by controlling the weather. Rainwater Tech uses towers in drought-stricken areas, and here's how it works. When clouds roll in, the towers realize that ionized particles into the air, release them rather. Those particles supercharge the atmosphere. Smaller raindrops in the clouds attach to those particles, helping them grow larger, fall, and reach the ground. We should note the technology does need a cloud to create that rain.
They're in luck this week, it
Yes,
appears.
indeed.
Many clouds out there.
Yeah, and just to be clear, that's not going to control hurricanes or anything like that, I promise.
Good to clarify that.
Yeah, this is only for cloud and whatnot. But what I do want to talk about is where the front is, because we're already starting to see some changes out there, including for those out towards Mason and San Saba. The winds are already shifting and changing coming in from the north. You're going to start to feel the colder, bitter air starting to filter through, especially for those areas. And this is what I was talking about. And this is why I believe that that front is expected to arrive at 4 compared to 6, because we originally had the front coming in at around 3, but the newer models, the newer data now showing that front is moving a bit quicker now. And that means that we're all going to be dealing with some colder air. In fact, here's a look at current temperatures. Still at 65 in San Saba, but notice we're already starting to see the blue filter in. That's the colder air that's starting to change and starting to move in. So in about an hour, I'm expecting San Saba to go from 65 down into the 50s pretty quickly. And that's thanks to that front coming in. So if you're anywhere within Mason, San Saba, Lampasas, Llano, Burnett, just know that over the next hour, we'll start to see the changes starting to filter through compared to 57 right now in Austin. Only giving us about 62 degrees as a high for Austin itself. We're already starting to see a few showers pick up in many spots. Georgetown, Round Rock, Pflugerville, down into the metro. We're starting to see some drizzle within a few areas, and that will continue. But with the front arriving just a tad sooner, it looks like we may not get all that much rain as it starts to move in. I'll zoom out a bit more. All the moisture that's still flowing from Austin and Waco to Houston and down the Gulf as well. But this is one spot I've been watching, Oklahoma City, and out towards the east as we've seen a wintry mix starting to build up one more time thanks to the front. So overall, I don't expect very much rain activity. I think that will start to filter out, especially as the front starts to move in. The cold air will start pushing through, especially overnight tonight as we see temperatures drop pretty quickly. Wind chill will make it feel like it's around 1 degree in San Saba and Lampasas. We have two things, the cold air that's filtering through and the strong winds. Both of those mixed in together will give you that feels like temperature. 7 is what it'll feel like in Marble Falls, Falls. 13 is what it'll feel like in Austin, 16 in LaGrange, and 12 degrees in San Marcos. So now your cold weather advisory is in effect from tonight at midnight through tomorrow at noon, as we see the temperatures drop pretty quickly. I showed you what the feels like temperature will be like tomorrow morning, but this is what it will actually be. 31 in Austin, 27 in Llano, 24 in Mason, 32 in San Marcos. Look at 6 a.m. We're already seeing temperatures down in the 20s and teens out there. Move this out towards tomorrow afternoon. Only about 36, 37, and then we're back down again as we get out towards Thursday morning into the 20s and teens one more time. It'll still feel just as cold because of how strong the winds are expected to be. An extreme cold watch in effect for Wednesday night through Thursday morning, and the warning farther up for Mason, San Saba, and passes as well. Don't forget the 4 Ps, your pets, people's, pipes, and plants, and make sure everyone is taken care of. 36 is a high for tomorrow, 20s for Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, and Friday morning. 39 by Friday afternoon. Rain chance starts to pick up, and I'll talk about in the next half hour. Temperature should be back up to the 60s by Sunday, and by Monday, we're looking at 77 degrees.
Welcome back, everyone. Starting today, the city of Lubbock is holding a free drive-up vaccine clinic. The city would like to get people prepared because of a measles outbreak nearby.
So far, the city of Lubbock has confirmed 1 case. However, the Texas Department of State Health Services counts at least 4 dozen cases in neighboring counties. It's the worst outbreak in Texas in about 30 years. Doctors in Lubbock are stressing that people should realize measles is more than a fever and rash.
That might be the extent of disease for some people. For others, it's going to cause serious effects, including pneumonia is pretty common, as well as brain infections and brain swelling.
The Centers for Disease Prevention and Disease Control and Prevention, I should point out, says that one sick person can spread it to 9 out of 10 unvaccinated close contacts. The virus can also spread 4 days before and after a rash appears on a sick person. Using artificial intelligence in therapy could help you or your loved one's mental health, but with that can come some risks, according to a psychologist who spoke to us.
There's a proposal in the Texas House right now that is trying to put some safeguards in place. That legislation outlines requirements for testing and approval of AI applications used in mental health services. That Austin psychologist told KXAN he's cautiously exploring the idea of using AI with clients, but ultimately stresses the importance of having a professional insight as well.
When you start getting into, I don't know, childhood trauma or something like that, there's a lot of things that could go south with AI. I would be in favor of like AI assisted therapy that has a therapist, guiding, and they're going through things together.
The bill also would require people know the services are AI-based and give consent to that. It also calls for people providing these services to be licensed professionals, or a licensed professional must be available at all times.
Giving you some depth here, this is not the first time that Texas lawmakers are seeking to potentially regulate AI. Last month, we told you about a Senate bill that would block AI from being used to deny, delay, or modify personal health insurance claims. In June 2023, the American Medical Association said that insurers should have people check patient records before denying any kind of coverage.
We know egg prices are high right now because of bird flu. We've been following that for several weeks. It could be leading people to steal. Some thieves raided a cafe in Seattle, leaving the scene with hundreds of eggs. According to Seattle police, the 2 thieves, identified as men, stole an estimated 540 eggs, worth nearly $400. They also stole some bacon, ground beef, blueberries, and liquid egg products, a full breakfast there. In all, police say this is nearly $800 in groceries stolen.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
We have been telling you about it all morning and into the afternoon. We are expecting some bitterly cold weather to hit Texas. It's already hitting parts. We're bracing for it to hit us here in Central Texas.
And we're just learning that because of that weather, we are getting word that tonight's University of Texas home opener baseball game against Houston has been moved up to a 5:30 start time. So any fans out there, please keep that in mind. And we'll be tracking that for you too and getting those information and the latest details on KXAN.com. But for now, let's talk about what's in store and when that front might arrive here in our area.
We're looking somewhere between 4 and 6 p.m. Here's the thing. We do know it's going to get a lot colder. Overall, we do have a couple of advisories in place. But look at our temperatures for tonight. Teens into the 20s with our highs over the next couple of days in the 30s and 40s. The wind chill values are going to be feeling like it's in the single digits out towards the hill country. Feel like it's in the teens for most of the metro and the eastern counties. And as far as icing, could we get some icing on the bridge? Yes, that is possible. Don't forget, overall, we do anticipate for temperatures to drop pretty tremendously. But any of the little drizzle, any of the little water that you're seeing fall down right now, if it does not evaporate or get soaked into the ground, unfortunately, that means that it's going to stay there overnight, where temperatures will drop below freezing. So please keep that in mind. We just recommend staying indoors tonight. A cold weather advisory in effect from midnight tonight through noon on Wednesday, with the wind chill values expected to drop pretty quickly after the front arrives. And then, of course, we have that extreme cold watch in effect. Anything you see in this teal, that's the watch. Anything you see in the blue, that's the warning that's being settled in as well. This is what satellite and radar looks like right now. We do have a couple of showers that have been picking up in Austin. In fact, picked up the southeast Austin camera at the Circuit of the Americas, where we're able to see a few of those showers already moving in. It's already starting to pop up on the camera itself as well. Temperatures still around 57 in Austin. We're down a degree now. We may not even break out of the 60s at this point for Austin. 63 in San Marcos, 62 in Fredericksburg, 57 in Georgetown, and 65 degrees in Bastrop. And as you can tell, the sensors are already starting to pick up a little bit of rainfall out there. The next 18 hours, a pretty big drop from not 65 anymore. No, we're looking at 50s, down in the 40s, down into the 30s, and into the 20s early in the morning. Coming up, we'll be talking about the front, where it's at and when it should arrive, the massive temperature drops, and the watches and warnings. I have an update on all of that in your first warning weather.
Freddie, thank you. If you live on Spicewood Springs Road, your water could be shut off tonight. The water there will go off from 9 p.m. to 5 in the morning tomorrow. This will be between 5800 and 5100 Spicewood Springs Road. This is in order to connect water services and fire hydrants to a newly laid water line along the road. Once that water is turned back on, this is important, you will need to flush out your system. And you'll do that by running an outdoor spigot and running cold water through bathtub faucets for about 10 minutes before using any other indoor water facilities. Turning now to some international news. In Saudi Arabia today, U.S. and Russian officials are discussing the future of Ukraine.
Notably absent from those is Ukraine's president, who insists a peace agreement cannot be reached without him there. NBC's Keir Simmons has the latest.
Well, these are the first formal, if hastily organized, talks between the U.S. and Russia since Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine. The delegations, or at least some of them, are staying here at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Riyadh. The talks are taking place in a Saudi Arabian palace. We caught up with Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov as he left for the meeting here. He was staying tight-lipped. What is happening behind closed doors, not yet clear, but one of the Russian officials is clearly here to try to negotiate a reduction or removal of sanctions. He himself is sanctioned by the US. That a clue as to what the Russians are looking for. The Ukrainians deeply worried. President Zelensky is not here at the table. He says anything agreed in a meeting between the US and Russia is not agreed by Ukraine, but US officials trying to reassure President Trump's envoy, Keith Kellogg, heading to Ukraine this week, he says, for 3 days, and he will continue to go back. The Europeans not at the table. Yesterday in Paris, they struggled to even agree whether they would send troops to Ukraine to try to shore up any kind of a ceasefire. These talks still taking place here in Saudi Arabia today. Keir Simmons, NBC News, Saudi Arabia.
The Trump administration's job cuts are now hitting the Federal Aviation Administration. And according to Congressman Lloyd Doggett just minutes ago, the move will affect at least one employee here in Austin. Several hundred workers nationwide received an email saying they had been fired. This new development comes down just weeks after several major plane incidents and just weeks before many people will start traveling for spring break. FAA probationary workers received termination letters on Friday night. And while we know air traffic controllers are likely not impacted employees include personnel hired for FAA radar, maintenance mechanics, aeronautical information specialists, and aviation safety assistants. Some experts say this could eventually impact travelers.
It's a very delicate system. You have, really aircraft controllers that are working in an understaffing situation already. You throw into that a less responsive administration because of the sudden layoffs. And this can just have an effect that could translate into either more delays or slower rollouts of systems to get our air system running smoothly.
As we mentioned, we just got that statement from Congressman Lloyd Doggett. You can read more about that very soon on our website, KXAN, and his full statement as well. The union representing the employees has called these firings a hastily made decision that they believe will increase the workload of a workforce already stretched thin.
Some laid off federal workers in the Lone Star State are now getting their jobs back. At least 350 employees at the National Nuclear Security Administration were laid off late Thursday. These workers handled nuclear weapons programs. One of the hardest hit offices was the Pantex plant near Amarillo, which saw about 30% of the cuts. Those employees work on reassembling warheads. The agency director Friday issued a memo rescinding all but a handful of those firings.
Protests popped up across the country against the Trump administration's job cuts, specifically under Elon Musk and DOGE, his government efficiency group. From the nation's capital to other places in Wisconsin, Illinois, even South Carolina, this was dubbed the No Kings on President's Day by the 50-51 movement. Elon Musk actually responded on social media to one post about these protests against him and against the Trump administration, saying demonstrators, quote, are protesting against the actual democratic will of the people.
We saw a similar protest to that here in Texas at the Capitol grounds. KXAN's Brianna Hollis took an in-depth look at the protest rules in both Austin and at the Capitol and how law enforcement prepare for these events.
I printed over 3,000 flyers and put them all around Austin.
Alexandra is the media liaison for the Austin chapter of 50-51, the grassroots effort mobilizing political protests in each state. Monday's demonstration was the second wide-scale event for the group this month.
Second of many. We are just getting started.
With more of these expected, here's some information about the cans and can-nots when it comes to protesting in the city. In general, you don't need a permit to gather on public sidewalks, but you have to follow certain rules, like making sure people can still get by and not blocking driveways or entrances to buildings. The State Preservation Board and Texas Department of Public Safety oversee protests on the Capitol grounds. Austin police handle things if the protest spills off property. On Monday, a group of officers with bikes and ATVs monitored the protests from across the street. According to DPS, you do not need a permit to protest at the Capitol unless you're requesting help with things like electrical access or a sound system. On Monday, Alexandra brought her own megaphone.
I do think that we are going to get bigger and bigger.
Protesters did spill out into the streets this President's Day, and the Austin Police Association says as long as it's not a major traffic issue and organizers are willing to limit their impact on the roads, police will usually help facilitate a peaceful march. And according to law enforcement, Monday's event went off without any issues. Brianna Hollis, KXAN News.
According to the group 50-51's website, another protest is set for March 4th. We plan to reach out to that group and to local law enforcement, and we'll keep you updated.
One person is badly hurt after a rollover crash last night in downtown Austin. This is according to Austin Travis County EMS. It said on social media that it responded around 10:15 to a single vehicle that rolled over on Colorado Street and West 5th. This is near Congress Avenue. Medics performed CPR before taking one person to the hospital. So far, no other details have been made available. People in Cedar Park are speaking up about what they call dangerous driving in their neighborhood after a deadly crash nearby.
On Saturday, a 19-year-old died in a crash on 183 in Cedar Park. Police say two drivers went over 100 miles per hour. One tried to pass the other, revved up to 140 miles per hour, lost control and struck the guardrail.
Families told KXAN they see speeders. One homeowner's security camera has recorded some of that speeding. Neighbors that spoke with us say they've been working towards solutions with other neighbors as well as law enforcement, but they just feel like they haven't had much luck so far.
Everybody complains about this street. I mean, my kid is not allowed to play with soccer balls. I'm afraid that if he runs the street, he will get hit.
According to the Texas Department of Transportation, since 2020, there have been at least 70 crashes on 183 between Crystal Falls Parkway and East New Hope Drive in Cedar Park. Thanks again for staying with us here on KXAN News at Noon. A live look right now from the Circuit at the Americas track where there is some precipitation gathering there on the camera lens. We'll get an update about that cold front that is approaching ever closer and will plummet our temperatures later today and into tomorrow morning in a few moments with Freddie. Now, bitterly cold temperatures, as we mentioned, are not the only ones that are affecting us here in Central Texas. They are also hitting those in the far northern parts of the country.
When those temperatures drop below zero there, some people are unable to avoid being out on the roads. They don't quite shut down like they do here in Texas. Highway Patrol is, of course, no exception. Elizabeth Shores reports.
Abandoned vehicles, anything that you do, it all gets logged into here.
Even when it's well below freezing outside, Highway Patrol troopers like Colton Krantz are making their rounds down the roads. Along with their normal duties, pulling over speeding cars, assisting stranded drivers, the cold weather brings a new set of challenges.
I think that may or may not be the semi that he was talking about.
This semi's tires blew out while driving down the highway. Sergeant Jeremiah Bone says it's not unusual to get accidents like this when the temperatures drop.
We see a lot more commercial vehicle issues. Truck drivers that come in from the south that don't understand what number 1 diesel is or put the additive in their diesel. We get a lot of semis that are gelled up is the term.
He says those trucks might not have enough power to get up a hill and wind up stuck in a lane.
If you see the outside right now, there's tow trucks running like crazy right now with gelled up semis, and those can't be fixed on the sides of the road. They have to be towed.
You got food and water and everything?
Krantz says it's routine to check on stranded drivers to make sure they're okay.
He has heat in his truck. He has food. He was eating a sandwich when I walked up there, actually, he said. So he has water. His batteries and everything are good in his phone, so I just wanted to make sure he was able to get through the next few hours, essentially.
This is especially important when they get stuck on a back road somewhere. He says he and the other troopers offer them rides to nearby hotels or gas stations while they're waiting on a tow truck to get their vehicles.
It's not too often. Sometimes people don't want any help, but if they do and if they need a ride and we can give them help in any way, then we always do. That's our job.
Along with checking on drivers, jump-starting stalled cars is another common occurrence. Bone says it's also routine to increase patrol perimeters to make sure no one's left stranded in the middle of nowhere.
Over in Vermont, they saw some heavy snowfall as well, and although it caused travel delays for many, you're taking a look at some furry friends who really enjoyed the snow that they saw there. This dog in particular frolicking through that snow. Apparently, some areas in Vermont recorded at least 16 inches of snow.
Gosh.
I think that little pup would be buried in 16 inches.
It almost is.
Yeah, hey, I don't think we're going to get that, but we are getting some weather.
Oh yeah, definitely, and we're already starting to see some of the rainfall. We saw it in some of the cameras, and it's now picking up just a tad more. Here's a look at satellite and radar at this point. Austin down to Bastrop, Lockhart, and out towards Dripping Springs. In fact, let's zoom in to where we're seeing a few of these showers. Bastrop into LaGrange has been the biggest part. We're seeing some of these showers that have been moving in. Lockhart now seeing a few isolated showers into the metro. Get out towards the northwest of San Marcos, just south of Dripping Springs. We're able to see a few showers that have been picking up there. Zoom out a bit more for the rest of the U.S., for the southern part of the U.S. A lot of snow farther up towards the north, some wintry mix as you get into Oklahoma, going out towards Arkansas, and then nothing but moisture farther down towards the south. It looks like a lot of that staying farther up towards the north as far as that wintry mix is concerned, and we should just see some precipitation overall. But the blue already starting to filter through. Here comes the front as that starts to make its way on in. 62 right now in San Saba. Again, I expect for that to change over the next hour. 57 in Austin, 63 in San Marcos. But temperatures did drop just 1 degree within Camp Mabry. And the showers are possible throughout most of the afternoon, but as the front pushes through, that'll dry everything out. And we're expecting colder air to filter in. That'll drive down our temperatures as we get farther out into the day and then into the evening hours as well. Look at Wednesday morning. 17 is what it'll be out towards San Saba. 17 in Mason, 23 in Marble Falls, 26 in Austin, 27 in Bastrop and Giddings, and 26 degrees expected for tonight out towards San Marcos. The wind chill that feels like temperature, that's going to feel much colder. 29 degrees is what it'll feel like in San Saba by 3:30 in the afternoon. Look at what happens as we get to 7:30. It's going to feel like it's in the teens up there. 32 is what it'll feel like in Austin. 36 in San Marcos. Early in the morning by 6. Single digits out towards the hill country. Feels like it's the teens for pretty much everyone else. We'll rebound just a bit for Wednesday, but then Wednesday night going into Thursday, we're back down single digits all across Central Texas is what it will feel like. Rain coverage expected to pick back up as we get out towards Friday and Saturday as well. So I'll start the clock on Friday going to Saturday. We still have a lot of moisture within the area. We're expecting that to clear out as we get out towards Saturday afternoon. Giving that about a 30% chance, maybe a few showers here and there. I don't expect it to be a complete washout, though. Even as we get into Sunday, things clear up and we're left with clearer skies. Over the next 7 days, up to an inch of rain is possible. That includes what we're seeing today. But as you can tell, not a lot out towards the hill country. Starts to pick up as you get out towards the eastern counties. 7-day forecast, 59 for today. We may have already hit that. That front comes in. Temperatures expected to drop. 36 for tomorrow, 41 for Thursday. But look at these lows, 26, 20, 29 degrees. When we get out towards Saturday, Sunday, temperatures start to warm up. 68 for Sunday and 77 as we get into Monday with much clearer skies.
Welcome back, everyone. You can enjoy a casual bike ride in Austin, but also learn Black history in our city. The Black History Bike Ride Group is hosting a community event this Saturday, and it will take you on a route filled with historic stories and sights to see. This starts at the George Washington Carver Museum at 1 in the afternoon, and it goes until 3 o'clock. Riders are invited to attend a 3-film movie screening, then at 6 o'clock in the evening, centered on the connections between Black community members and cycling.
And to get more insight into stories of Black Austinites who were born and raised in East Austin, you can watch our new documentary that just aired this past weekend. It's titled What Remains and featured the work of so many of our colleagues here at KXAN to put this on. It highlights the history of 2 historic corridors while exploring the issues the community is facing today as some try to maintain what was. You can watch the special on KXAN's YouTube channel or our website, KXAN.com. Just search for What Remains under the Black History Month tab.
Freddie, we want to check in with you once more because you are tracking this cold front that is getting ever closer to Central Texas.
We're watching the leading edge of the front, and it looks like it's now moving through Mason and San Saba. You can see the wind direction changes out there, and it's now calm in Fredericksburg, so we're starting to see the change there as well. So for anyone in Mason, San Saba, Llano, Lampasas, they're already starting to feel that change outside as they walk through. You'll be able to see the colder air, or feel the colder air as it moves in. Temperatures tonight, 26 degrees, winds coming in at a much stronger 20 to 30 miles per hour. And tomorrow temperatures should be at around 36 degrees. Winds continue to come in pretty strong out there. It's going to be a cold one overnight tonight into tomorrow. The 7-day forecast will show cold mornings not only for tonight, but into Thursday, into Friday, and into Saturday as well, all below freezing early in the morning. And of course, we have those watches and warnings. Keep it here for the latest, and on our website, KXAN.com. We'll be updating you on there as well, or download the KXAN weather app for the latest info.
Plenty of ways to stay informed. Thanks so much, Freddie, and thank you all for watching this afternoon. We'll have another update on your forecast coming up in about 30 minutes, so enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Take care.